y'all, it's Necey Dixon. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, welcome. If you are returning, y'all, welcome back. It's Monday. I'm here a day earlier. Pat on the back, okay? Pat, 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 pat. Today, I'm here to talk to y'all about Real Housewives of Atlanta and married to medicine, okay? Hope y'all had a good weekend. Hey, Maya. Hey, Jay, Antoinette. Good. I'm glad y'all excited to talk about the show. Number one, Real Housewives of Atlanta, I was laughing my ass off. Alaska, Sheree, she bias not happening, okay? For number two, Married to Medicine, Daddy, Dr. Damon, he came through a little bit different last night, and I wanted to get y'all's thoughts on what y'all thought about everything that was going on last night. Like, I don't know how to feel. I'm kind of glad, but I'm kind of like, I don't know. We're going to talk about it. I'm also in a different area. I got this big old nice bean bag, y'all, from Costco over the weekend. And I was like, I'm not moving. I'm bringing my laptop out here to the living room. I'm sitting on my bean bag, and we're going to talk about the shows real comfortable, okay? So apologies, like, in advance if the lighting keep going crazy. But I got my little ring light thing right here that should be helping a little bit. So let's go ahead and get into it. Right. Hey, April, she said, baby, Damon nucked and bucked. He did. I said, ooh, okay. So they're not just putting on. They're not just putting on. Nicole says he checked heavenly. No, really. So y'all, let's get into Married to Medicine. For those of y'all who watch my Bell Collective reviews, I haven't watched Bell Collective just yet. So I'm not reviewing Bell Collective yet, but I really wanted to get to y'all today because I got something to do tomorrow as well as tonight. So let's get into it. Let's start out with Married to Medicine. So the title of this episode was The O Shot. That was interesting. I had to do some research on the O Shot after we came off of this episode. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, I'm gonna tell y'all right, not me and Sonya's husband, girl, bye. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, you won't catch me doing the O shot. You won't. Okay, it just seemed too painful. Like, I don't know. They put ice down there, which isn't the painful part, but you putting a needle on my lid. I don't know about it. Okay. So y'all, the episode starts out with Anila and Kieran. And Anila is basically telling Kieran everything that went down in Vegas. Okay. She said, ain't no what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. She was like, I got to go and tell my husband right now exactly what happened. Okay. Exactly what was said about him. But on the other side of things, I'm like, ooh, y'all tell me. I don't know if I would have even said that. I don't know if I would have even told Kieran what Toya said, okay? What Toya said about Kieran's peen looking long would have died in that moment. I wouldn't have brought it back up because I wouldn't have wanted it to be like a going topic. Because you know how the ladies do on these reality TV shows. Anything like that that's said has the potential to come back up and come back around. And personally, for me, if I was Anila, I would not want my husband's opinion to be topic of conversation. Similar to how Candace on Real Housewives of Potomac came on the show talking about how, hold on, this lighting really is bothering me. I'm going to turn a little bit more. I think it's that window. Yeah, I think it's the window. Anyway, similar to how Candace on Real Housewives of Potomac came on and told everybody that her husband, Chris, had a brown peen, even though he was a white man. And that's something that they literally just talked about, I think, at this like last reunion. And Candace been on the show for like 2 or 3 seasons at this point. So that conversation would have died right there. And Karen is just kind of like, I don't even know that, right? So Karen wants to come up with the 10 commandments of their household. Because you know at this point, Anila wants to test her mom and dad moving in with them because she don't have a nanny anymore. So he comes up with all these things. Thou shalt wash hands. Thou shalt clean up after themselves. And there's all these rules, some of them cultural, yes, but other rules just sound like decent ass house training rules, okay? Home training rules. Like thou shalt clean up after himself. I'm like, sound like you don't need to be staying in my house if I got to tell you the rules is to clean up and all this other stuff. Nikki said, let Karen slip up and tell Eugene what Toya said. It's gonna be a problem. Oh, say it again. It's gonna be a fight, okay? And Eugene will be doing more than accidentally punching Karen in the face during their play boxing sessions. But anyway, Anila knows her mama is a hot mess. I remember when her mama was first introduced to the show, and her mom was getting like very much involved in an argument. I can't remember who was having the argument, but her mom came on the show and she was very much on her mama Joyce. Like, she was ready to get in with the girl. She wasn't just sitting back watching. She wanted to get her little cut. So I think her mom is a lot, and I think y'all biting off more than y'all can chew getting her to move into this house. So next, y'all, we go on to Toya and Eugene. And we find out that their son, Avery, I think he's the older one, he was at a sleepover while Toya was in Vegas, and they accused him of stealing. So what I really liked about this scene is as soon as Avery started to tell his mom the story, Toya was like, hold on, go get your daddy. Because she like, hold on, let me make sure he hear this coming from your mouth, because we might have to go turn up on some folks. And I don't blame her for it. I think they brought up a really good point about like just Black children in general. They asked him if he was okay. And that's the thing, y'all, like a lot of grown Black adults are privy to the microaggressions that go down, like because you've been through that, right? But a lot of kids don't pick up on that stuff. So I think it's great that they're monitoring what's going on with Avery, for sure. Little Black boys should be monitored. Y'all know there was actually a study that was going around. It resurfaced from like 2016. And I really wish that I could cite who it was because it was a legitimate source. It was a study that was going around talking about how kindergarten or preschool teachers have an unconscious bias towards Black boys, like little Black boys. And the way that they did the study, and I know some people are gonna be like, oh, it was on Shade Room. The Shade Room reposted it, but the resource came from like a legit place. So anyway, they did like this study where they watched, they sat preschool teachers or kindergarten teachers, whatever grade it was, in front of a computer. And the computer had a camera in it that studied the teacher's eyes while the teacher was watching a series of videos of kids, seeing how they reacted in the classroom. And the kid who they kept their eyes on the most was little Black boys. So I think it's good that they left this in here. Love how Toya handled that conversation. However, Eugene starts talking about how, you know, Toya seems to be super duper stressed. And she's talking to Eugene about, okay, the whole time I was going to Vegas, all you did was work. She was like, I'm at home so I can make sure that things like this don't happen to my children. But you at work all day, right? She said you went out one time and that was it. And Avery was like, why do y'all always argue? So I'm like, what did y'all want us to know with that scene? That's the question that comes up for me, because sometimes, y'all, we get scenes that are like, oh, that was nice to know. But editing always wants us to know something with the scene. So I feel like when that scene came about, it's like, did y'all want us to know that Avery thinks that they argue all the time? Is that what y'all wanted us to know? Okay. So y'all, let's move on from that. We see Heavenly and Dr. Jackie. And Heavenly lets us know that her mother is not getting any better. Hey, Prosperity. Her mother, oh, April B, she says the Guardian. Okay, thank you. But yeah, Heavenly let us know that her mother's health is not getting any better. And the doctors are, you know, giving her options for hospice. So it's getting really serious. And I feel for Heavenly in this moment. I'm glad y'all showed it, because this is the thing. I don't know why, y'all. I don't know why. Heavenly gets on my nerves sometimes. I know she talks too much, but I really like empathize with Heavenly. Not saying I agree with everything that she does, but I know what it's like to be like the friend of the group that's extremely opinionated And then you have other friends of the group, and they seem to be fragile AF. And as soon as they're in tears, you have to take the blame or you bear the responsibility for getting the group back good. Hate that shit. Hate that shit. So I empathize with Heavenly when it comes to that. And I'm glad that they added this scene in here, because it's like, tears just do not equal fragility. Like, some people just don't be crying like that, you know? So I feel for Heavenly. And the comparison that I'm speaking to is Contessa, y'all. Y'all know I can't hop into this video without talking about Contessa. The comparison I'm talking about is Contessa. I don't get it, still don't get it to this day, why everybody just empathizes with Contessa so much when it comes to this whole YouTube situation. Because everybody sat on the season just like Contessa and Heavenly did, and knew that Contessa was the one sharing everything she wanted everybody to know about her marriage. And now it's like, y'all don't see it. Prosperity, hey, she says, my heart went out to her because I lost my mom in 2018, and it's nothing like no longer having your mom here on this earth anymore. Ooh, I'm so sorry. I'm sure it's not. I was just watching a video of Meg Thee Stallion, and she was talking about how, since neither one of her parents are here, she doesn't even know if she's doing a good job or not. And when she said that, I started thinking about, like, wow, every time I hit a new milestone or every time I have something to do, I'm calling my mom and daddy on the phone, telling them about it, because I'm like, okay, cool. What do you think about this? You have their approval and you feel good, and it's a no, you won't ever have that again. Yeah, I feel for Heavenly. But let's move on, y'all. Anila's parents come, and they basically say the rules don't really apply to them. I told y'all there was going to be a hot mess, but I ain't going to spend too much time there, because we're going to see Anila's mom again at this damn O party. Okay. For a second, y'all, I thought all my notes got deleted. I was like, girl, GTF. And baby Trisha, this was the same mom that I think she said she had issues with. You remember they talked to her about her growing up in a room with no windows and stuff like that? Yeah. So I'm sure there's some complexities to that. Hey, Nicole. Okay. So time to move on. Okay. This is the main scene of the episode. This was like a pretty light week. Oh my gosh. This week from Married to Medicine was so light. What is going on? I guess we all waiting for September 10th so we can start talking about Love and Marriage Huntsville again. So Simone and Cecil invite the couples over to talk about this book. Okay, this is the reason why. So we got Simone and Cecil, we got Dr. Damon and Heavenly, we got Scott and Contessa, and I think that's it. Okay. So Heavenly shows up, and she is joking, saying, you know, they invited us here, I guess, to give y'all some advice, talking to Contessa and Scott. Which was like, Heavenly, you might not want to joke that soon. You might not want to joke that soon, because you know these people halfway don't fool with you, right? But she did. And Scott and Contessa both laugh it off like, oh, no, you can keep that. But I did want to call out the fact that they exchanged hugs whenever they first saw each other. And, you know, I told y'all this from jump. Contessa is upset on Scott's behalf. I feel like Contessa is projecting. I think she feels dumb for telling all that damn business last season. And I think she also despises Heavenly because she wishes she was a little bit more like Heavenly. A little more like Heavenly. And when I say that, I don't mean like look like Heavenly, talk like, I don't mean that. When I say Contessa wishes she was like Heavenly, I wish Contessa wishes that she could move through this TV show by not spilling all her tea. Heavenly has found a way to be valuable on this show, not really spill none of her and Damon's tea at all. We still tend to like her. You still tend to hate her. You still feel sometimes type of way towards Heavenly. Whereas Contessa, like, y'all, I didn't watch the show that regularly, but I don't feel like I started even hearing or talking about Contessa until Contessa started talking about her damn relationship. Now the OGs who've been watching this show from jump, y'all tell me if Contessa contributed a lot to this show, but I didn't think she did. I thought she was one of the back runners on the show. Definitely. Because you got like the Golden Girls, you got Toya, You got Quad. I did not hear much about Contessa at all until she started spilling tea on her own marriage. Now you look like Boo Boo the damn fool. You got your clown mask on like you always do, and you mad about it. So, y'all, what I want y'all to do is pay attention. Every time Contessa and Heavenly gets into an argument, listen to what Contessa says. A lot of the time, the things that she says has nothing to do with the exact conversation matter at all. It has everything to do with thoughts that are in her head already. So I want y'all to listen to what she's saying when she argues with these people. Thank you, Nikki. Nikki says she didn't contribute that much. Hey, baby. Nicole says no, she did not. I didn't realize she's been on the show for as long as she has. Right, right. So I think that she's regretting spilling so much of her information. But okay, once we break down this dinner scene, y'all, listen to the things that Contessa says and listen to how one topic turned into something else for Contessa. It makes no damn sense. Okay, so we at this couple's dinner, right? And Cecil makes a joke about, having everybody sign an NDA. And in Contessa's confessional, she says, that's not in Heavenly. Heavenly can't sign it. It's not in her DNA. It's not in her makeup to just keep things quiet. Now, Contessa, I'm not going to disagree with you, so I ain't going to hold you there. So we move on from that to talking about how the couples met each other. What made y'all fall in love with each other, right? So Simone and Cecil talk about how they fell in love in college because he was her neighbor in like one of the dorms of the apartments. And he had these shorts on and these long, nice legs. And she just talks about how she was just smitten with him when they were in college. And then they got married in Did they get married in 1990 or 95? Something like that. They got married a long ass time ago. And they looked so cute. It felt like real love, right? So then next, they show how Scott and Contessa met each other. Now, this is the thing I just asked y'all earlier. Every time I watch these episodes, I ask myself, what do they want us to know? What does editing want us to know? So Scott starts off and he says, I met Contessa. I think it was my last year in med school or my first year in residency. What was it, babe? Contessa says, you tell me. Contessa, you still feel some type of way towards that man. Contessa feels some type of way towards everybody except the person in the damn mirror. Just you put on this front to argue with Heavenly, right? Only to then say slick shit throughout the season that makes me feel like you still 1 foot out the door. We see you with this trainer, right? Which to me feels like it could be on the verge of whatever you want it to be. We see you with the NFL player talking about how much you love your job, right? Then we see Scott trying to retell the story of how y'all met, and something as little as him confusing the last year of med school or the first year of residency, you already kind of just like, you tell me. So it's deeper than that. It's much deeper than Heavenly and what she's trying to let on. I'm not going to be manipulated by Contessa. I'm sorry. So Scott ends up saying, well, I talked to her and I told her, well, in 5 years, my debt will be paid off. She told me she was in the military. We said, hey, we're going to be debt free before we're 35. Let's go ahead and do it. So yes, that's exactly what it is. They got together because it looked good on paper. 2 doctors together, debt free, right? But that's not enough. That's not enough. Okay. I know money ends a lot of relationships, but obviously y'all getting together to be debt free was not enough to keep y'all together, because it seems like y'all are together, but apart. And what I mean by that is I watched Contessa do a damn interview. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Entertainment Tonight. It was somebody. I found the clip on YouTube, and she was talking about how when they were going through the process of divorce, she said she actually, or not through the process, she said she filed for divorce, but then she started thinking about the fact that she didn't want her kids to have 2 birthdays, 2 Christmases, and they didn't want to start building separate lives. That was her reason for them getting back together to make it work. So I want y'all to listen. Like, Contessa's reason for them getting back together based on that interview sounded like it was because she didn't want to build a separate life and go through the process of divorcing and starting over because they've gotten used to each other. Scott's reason for them getting together sounds like it's financially driven. Neither one of them sound like they're in love, and yet you want to argue your friend down for the sake of a man because you mad that you told too much of y'all business. Girl, goodbye. So Dr. Damon starts talking with his, he has like one of those. Dr. Damon has this thing about him where he's quiet but powerful. And he says, one of the things I want you ladies to notice is you don't realize how painful your words can be. With guys, I feel like we don't cross that line because we know once the line is crossed, we know that there are ramifications on the back end of that. He said with female, or he didn't say females, with women, there's no pure line, like this same sentiment, y'all, maybe not exact quote, but he says there's no line for right or wrong or like what's forgivable and what's not. So you women go back and forth. And Contessa says, are you talking about your wife? And he says, no, I'm talking about all of you ladies. And listen, Simone, I need you to stop. Simone jumps in. Heavenly, are you listening to what he's saying? Are you listening to what he's saying? So Contessa's denying it, like, no, that's not me. I must be a man then because I have the same exact feeling. I don't talk about people like that and expect them to be my friend after the fact, right? Every time they get together, y'all want to talk about this same thing. Didn't y'all just hug it out in Vegas? Goodbye. So Heavenly says, well, don't say anything about your husband that you don't want repeated. And they're getting ready to argue. Dr. Damon is saying, Heavenly, stop it. Stop it. Like he's talking to her like a kid. He's telling her, I know you think you're doing the right thing right now, but I need you to stop it. And Heavenly sits there and then she finally stops. They start arguing again. Heavenly says, just let the man talk, Contessa. Like, let my husband talk. Just shut up, is what she said. And Contessa said, you shut the fuck up, Heavenly. And I'm like, was all that necessary, Contessa? The woman told you to shut up, but you had to come back and tell her to shut the fuck up. And I know to some people that's not going to make a difference, but to me, that literally would have made me want to slap the taste out of your mouth. Literally. Because y'all just made up in Vegas. And you're still harping on the shit that Heavenly apologized about through text message and cried about to your face. It feels a little bit like you are still trying to be mad on behalf of your husband. You're trying to be a ride or die. You're trying to show him that, y'all, this is what she's doing. Contessa is trying to take less responsibility for the shit that her husband's mad about that she said on TV last season. That's what she's trying to do. Contessa knows that Heavenly has a big mouth, so it's easier for her to pin a lot of the bullshit that's said in the blogs on Heavenly instead of pinning the shit on what you said during the actual season, right? Baby Trisha says, I really wish that Damon had addressed Heavenly directly the first time because she was acting like he wasn't talking to her. Okay, amazing point. Amazing point. I definitely think Dr. Damon should have had this conversation with his wife. He should have had this conversation with his wife, and I'm sure he did, right? I'm sure he did, but it just didn't. I don't think it was smart. I'm tired of people, including Simone, especially Simone, bringing up this conversation. They ask one question, and then it leads to another, and then they get into an argument. So Dr. Damon gets mad. He says, you talking when I'm asking you to be quiet is a lack of respect. Just stop. So he gets up and he leaves, and Heavenly leaves after him. And he is, hey Ramel. He is basically, I don't want to say treating her like a child, but he treating her like a child. Like if I say hush, you need a hush. And y'all, the reason why at the beginning of the video I said I kind of liked it, I kind of liked it because sometimes Heavenly needs to hush. I was just telling y'all a couple weeks ago about how I was watching the show and I was irritated that they always try to make Dr. Damon come off as some like soft giant, no conflict, daddy this, daddy that. And I'm like, I know you don't really be like that. Like, I know that Dr. Damon is not like that 100% of the time. And all I had to do was wait a couple episodes because I'm like, oh, this is why Heavenly acts like that. This is why Heavenly likes to be a submissive wife, because your man can puff up and tell you, no, you got to get in line. And I feel like that's the type of person that's the only type of person I feel like can deal with Heavenly. So I honestly did not mind. Now I see why she calls him daddy. No, for real. That's exactly what it was. Oh, Ramel, this is the comment right here, right here. Ramel said, I honestly like how he checked her. No shade, but Chris Bassett needs to take some notes in Potomac. This is the comment right here, Ramel, because Chris needs to buck up. I'm not saying do anything to her physically. Let me make that clear. Chris needs to buck up with Candace because Candace does not listen to him. They need that type of balance. This is the comment right here. So that's pretty much it. Cecil walks outside telling Dr. Damon, like, hey, just give your wife some grace, do this, do that. And I'm right there with you, Nikki. I am so sick of Contessa. So sick of Contessa. Honestly, y'all, if Contessa wouldn't have spilled the tea about her relationship, about her moving away to go to school and all this other stuff, would have been long gone. Ooh, but this is what I forgot to talk to y'all about. So I told y'all at the beginning of this video, Contessa always ends up telling on herself. So what seems to be one conversation matter ends up turning into something else. Meaning, whenever they get into arguments, Contessa lets you know what has always been on her mind, and she doesn't necessarily say things that are relevant to that exact situation. Meaning, at this argument at the dinner table, after Dr. Damon left, Contessa says in her confessional, and she says to Simone and Cecil and Scott, or Simone and Scott, she says, we make the same amount of money. We do the same thing. I'm a doctor, you're a doctor. There's nothing that you can tell me about myself. Y'all, do y'all think that Contessa's comment had more to do with Contessa or more to do with Dr. Damon? Because Contessa, what Dr. Damon said had shit to do with what educational credentials you have. Had nothing to do with the amount of money you make. But since that's on your mind, and since you brought that up, let's dig a little deeper. Let's dig a little deeper, Contessa. Why is it that you think that you being a doctor and making the same amount of money as Dr. Damon makes y'all even? Because if that's what you think makes y'all even, I'd love to know what things they have that you don't have that make you feel less than. Because I don't get it. It's like, what did that have to do with anything? Like, maybe Dr. Damon was crossing the line by talking to y'all like y'all were children. I would have agreed with that a little bit more, because it's like, okay, talk to your wife like that, right? But because you're a doctor and because you make the same amount of money as him, you say y'all are in the same playing field, but that has nothing to do with the bullshit that's been going on with you in Heavenly. Nikki says that's her insecurity coming out. Facts, 100%. E-Baby says, I didn't understand why she says that. Nicole says more to do with Dr. Damon. Ayana Hay says it's like Contessa completely missed the point, as she always does. Right. That's the thing. Contessa always misses the point, and she always ends up telling what's actually on her mind. Like, if you ever wanted to know what Contessa thought of you, she's the type of person who waits until y'all get into an argument. Let's say, shit, I don't know. Let's say you told her to, and this sounds ridiculous, y'all, but this is just an example. Let's say you made dinner reservations with Contessa at 7:30, right? but you accidentally texted her and told her that it was at 6:30. So she shows up an hour early and she's been waiting for you a whole hour. Your argument or your disagreement will not be about dinner reservations. Contessa's going to bring up everything about you that she doesn't like, and she's going to bring up her insecurities and what she's been thinking about you the whole time. Can't fuck with people like that. People like that are weird as hell. And that's exactly what she was given. Okay. I know a couple like that. She's a manipulator. Ramel says, I know someone like that. Yeah, absolutely. And Shantae, hey girl, she says, but also let's come on now. She says, let's talk about how that statement would translate in her relationship with Scott. Let's talk about it. No, really. Y'all are both doctors, but you keep trying to get more and more degrees. And is that why you feel like Scott can't tell you nothing? Is that why you low-key resent your husband? I don't get it. I don't get it. Contessa has some big insecurities. And I can't. And I know some people are, Nurse Angel says she's sick of Heavenly. Some people are. And one thing I feel like y'all will always get from me, if you've like consistently been watching me, one thing you will always get from me when it comes to these reality TV shows is I can much rather side with someone who is honest, a bitch, rude, than somebody who is delusional, manipulative, somebody who plays the victim in order to win. Hate those themes. I do. And I feel like Contessa is eating the fuck out of that thing. Contessa is really manipulating this situation. Heavenly knows what she did. We knew what we was going to get with Heavenly, but Contessa is trying to convince the audience to believe that Heavenly did something different than what actually happened. I'm like, girl, we all saw what happened. Yes, we all saw what happened. Okay, so the dinner ends, y'all. So let's move on from there to this O party. O shot. So Dr. Jackie has done over 100 O shots. And Quad ends up bringing her friend Leilani, y'all. Good point, Glam. Notice how quiet Scott was the whole time. He didn't even try to calm Contessa down. Yes. They're trying to manipulate us to believe that Scott is now this quiet and calm husband, right? So anyway, Quad brought her friend Leilani to the O-Shot party. And the only reason why I'm commenting on that is because if y'all remember Put a Ring on It, I think it was his last season or maybe the one before that. Leilani was the one who was dating Eric with the receding hairline. So I'm like, dang, y'all really be, I don't know how y'all be getting on these reality shows. Like, y'all must be networking, okay? Showing up to the right places, because I just was talking about her last year when I was reviewing that show. So, yes, for the O shot, Simone goes first. My note right there says, ain't no way. They like do PRP, basically, platelet rich plasma, where they like take some of your blood out, they spin it on this spinner, then they separate the plasma, then they take the plasma, and that's what they use to inject it into your clitoris. But they numb that area down there first. And I was like, I couldn't do it, y'all. I don't think I could do it. It sounds really uncomfortable. I don't know if I would want a needle touching my lady part like that. Now, I will say the benefits sound great. The fact that it lasts 24 months sound great. But one of the thing with those things, the thing with fillers and stuff like that, is you have to continue getting them redone. So I would have to ask myself, like, would I want to get addicted to that? And then I have to go get it done every 2 years? And then what if you stop and then you don't get it done anymore and then it just don't hit the same? It's not where it's at. Now, Anila ended up bringing her mom to the party. I don't know why she did that. I thought her mom was going to participate. I thought her mom was going to have fun. I don't know. The thing I'm thinking is Anila's mom really loves attention. Anila's mom always finds a way to get right in front of the camera. And I think Anila's mom knew she was filming and she was like, I'm coming. So she probably invited herself, showed up to the O-Shot party and was like, no, Anila, you can't get it done. And Anila doesn't get it done at 44 years old. I know cultures are different, but that's why you should have left your mama at home. You should have left your mama at home so you could do the thing. I feel like you're the only one that's getting paid to be on the show. Probably. Now, y'all in the comments, that's pretty much it. Y'all tell me if y'all would get the O shot. Baby Trisha says the O shot is a no for me. We still got one more show to review. So y'all tell me in the comments. O shot, are you here for it or are you not? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and play a like the video, and then we're going to get into Real Housewives of Atlanta. So do me a favor and go ahead and like the video so we can get into this she by not happening. She by Neverland. She by she ain't got no money. Okay. Jay Antoinette says, boop. TMJ says, it's a no for me. Ayana says, nope. E-Baby says, it's a no for me. Okay. Only one person so far. Nikki says, I tried. Nicole, okay, says when the time comes, maybe. I mean, they say it is a 20-minute procedure. They say you have no downtime, but you get to feel the results in like 3 months. Because I looked it up after the show. After the show, I was like, am I tripping? But I'm like, I don't know if I can. Maybe I don't know. I think I'd have to like know somebody who did it first, and then maybe I would be open to do it. But for right now, I can't see myself doing it. All right, y'all. I hope y'all had a chance to like the video. Now it is time to get into Real Housewives of Atlanta. Real Housewives of Atlanta. Did y'all like the video? Because we got 85 people in here. And our lives ain't really been that lit. Like, of course, the chat has been lit, but usually it'd be more people by now. So I hope that my notifications are working. And if they're not, it helps out a lot if y'all like the video, because then the people are going to get notified from YouTube that they need to come on over. They need to come over. Prosperity said 3 months later. Yeah, it takes 3 months for it to go to get into it. Yup. And then CC says, I agree with Quad. Make them work for it. High key. I don't want to make it easy. TMJ says, when it wears off, do you lose some sensation? I'm sure you do. I don't think that your sensation will be any less than what it was before, but I'm assuming your sensation will go back to like normal. It just wouldn't be hitting like the Oshot was hitting. So then you'd have to get it every 24 months for sure. She fashion with no fashion. Right. Okay. Prosperity got her notification. Okay, cool. Let's get into Real Housewives of Atlanta. So the episode starts out, we see Ace and Candy, and Ace is trying to act. I think he's like, how old is he at this point? 5 or 6? So cute. So we see Marlo. Y'all, I can't stand Marlo. And I can't stand the ish that I'm seeing happen on screen to combat all the shit that we've been talking about Marlo. I've been talking mad-ish. Okay? I don't give a damn. I'll admit it. But the stuff, y'all playing in my face is what I feel like. So we see Marlo, and she folding clothes. You know, she looking like a mama. And, you know, she's just prepping for her babies to come back home because the boys are finally coming back home. And she FaceTimes her sister, and she's talking, and, you know, she's FaceTiming her sister while she's at work because she wants y'all to know that her sister's in the medical industry. So that way we feel better about her not just putting her kids on any old body. She's putting her kids, her nephews, on somebody with a decent job. So let's FaceTime the sister while she's at work, busy in the field, so we know the boys are in a good place. So she's talking to the sister. So how's the boys? You know, how's it that they're there with a man? Okay, so now you want us to know that you didn't just give them away to anybody. You gave them away to your sister who had a man in the house, but lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with 4 other kids before you put the 2 nephews on her. So you got the 2 nephews, the 4 kids, and the man that's living in the apartment. What is that? 6, 8? Is my math right? 8 people in a 2-bedroom apartment. Not that bad, Marlo, right? Not that bad. Since your sister is in the medical industry, if that's what you were trying to show us. Girl, goodbye. Um, so she says to her sister that she just wants discipline. All she wants is for the boys to be the best that they can be. So she's trying to practice tough love. Let me ask y'all this. Do y'all think we're gonna see another scene of Marlo at the damn therapist before the season ends? Or do y'all think we just saw her go that one time? I think Marlo's full of shit. Okay. Full of it. And you keep playing in our faces to make us feel better. And you're trying to combat the things that you know people are saying about you or going to say about you. And y'all, I know this shit don't happen in real time, but Candy obviously was the voice of the people when all this stuff was being filmed, because Candy was saying a lot of stuff we was already thinking. So now, y'all, we move on to Drew. We see Drew and she's healing from her Achilles rupture. She said that she had the whole repair. She's been medicated. She had surgery and all that stuff, right? So she back on her scooter. Okay. Where is your scooter? She's back on her scooter. Okay. J Vic, you ain't lying. You ain't lying. That's very much what it's giving. Okay. You know, you can't have people living with you when you get from the government. That's very much what it's giving. So anyway, y'all, Drew is healing from her rupture tear. Sheree and Sonya come over to the house. I can't stand Sonya. Best believe Sonya wouldn't have attempted to go over there to see Drew if she was not beefing with Kenya. You came over there to keep yourself in close range to Kenya through Drew, in my opinion. You did. Because when you thought you were cool with Kenya, it was basically Drew. You didn't care about Drew at all. Now that, you know, your relationship with Kenya seems to be no more, kind of rocky, now you're over there in Drew's face. Girl, goodbye. So Drew and Sheree talk about this new chapter. They're going to start fresh. Hashtag restart. They're going to start fresh. And Drew's like, yeah, I'm actually kind of shocked to see y'all, especially before Marlo or anybody else. And they're like, yeah, you know, we're going to come through for you. We're going to look out for each other, blah, blah, blah. And Sonya basically recaps Drew on what happened whenever Drew was in her room in Jamaica. She says that Kenya basically ate her ass up in that argument. And she was like, I don't know what it is, because in my head, I think that I'm doing better than I am, but like the words aren't coming out of my mouth. I'm glad that you know, Sonya, that you were handled. Okay. I'm glad that you know, Sonya, that you could not go toe to toe with Kenya. Like, wrong road. Okay. So as long as you know you're not being delusional about that, I'm gonna let you have it and we're gonna move on. So Sheree ends up telling Sonya about Kenya's comments on Ross. You remember, y'all, and we had a conversation about this last week. Whenever they were in Africa, sorry, y'all. Whenever they were in Jamaica, they were on they were water rafting, and Kenya and Sheree were sitting in the same water rafting boat about her husband. They were sitting in the same water rafting boat when Kenya tells Sheree that she was intimidated by the things that Ralph was doing. Let me go look at my notes from last week, because I really do think that she said the word aggressive. Let me see what she says. She said that Ross was intimidating. She didn't use the word aggressive, I don't think. That's what my note said. Kenya claims that Ross was intimidating and that she felt bad because she didn't have a man beside her. Now, this is why I don't give a fuck at all. I don't care that Kenya called this man intimidating. I don't care if she called him aggressive. Because at the end of the day, Sonya called her and said that the semantics were the same. So let me talk about that before I tell y'all my feelings. So Sonya calls Kenya on the phone in front of Drew and Sheree. One thing you're going to do, Sonya, is get enough of trying to stunt in front of people. Stop trying to stunt in front of people. And thank y'all for confirming she did say aggressive. Okay. One thing you're gonna do is like stop calling me whenever you're in front of people to try to show out because this thing was funny AF, and let me tell y'all why it was funny. So Sonya calls Kenya, "Hey Harold," and she says, "Hey, I'm sitting here with Sheree, and Sheree told me on speaker. Sheree told me what you said about my husband." And Kenya's like, what did I say?" And she said, "You call my husband aggressive?" And Kenya says, "I don't remember using that word." And Sonya says, "Okay, well, same sentiment. You were talking about my husband in a negative way, and you know what that word can do to Black men." Kenya says, "I'm gonna have to wake up and call you back." Kenya, you did sound like you was full of ish. But let me call out this. Sonya's fraud as fuck. I'm sorry. Fraud AF. Sonya hangs up the phone and then says, "Bye, bitch." You can't be respected, Sonya. You can't be respected because you try to act like you had all that smoke, but you didn't say "bye, bitch" to Kenya. You hung up the phone and then strategically said "bye, bitch" after you hung up because your ass is scary. You're scary. Like, girl, I rewound that scene twice because I wanted to see if she hung up the phone before she said it. Because part of me was like, girl, you ain't about that life. You don't have that smoke in you. You didn't say bye. You didn't. And guess what? She didn't, right? So now, y'all, this is why I don't give a damn. And this is what I wanted to get to. I had this conversation. Yep, she don't say it with her chest. She don't. I had this conversation with y'all last week. And this is the thing. I don't think that Ralph should have said anything when it came to the women's conversation. You always trying to be in women's. You need to be over there with the damn men. Stop acting like a damn, okay? In my Nene voice. I get that he was trying to protect his wife, but your wife did not need protecting in that moment. Your wife is a grown-ass woman who has stirred up some messy-ass shit on this show that she's going to have to answer to one way or another. And when Andy asked her questions on this reunion, and she tries to avoid them, and he asks her questions back to back to back to get a legitimate answer, your ass better not say nothing. Don't say nothing, because Sonya has to lay in her bed. Other side of things is this. I didn't consider Ralph to be aggressive. However, Kenya is open to interpret that however she wants to. However she wants to. For one, you don't know that man. You don't know that man. For two, and we talked about this last week, me, Bondi, and Jamie, ain't no woman just arguing with no man who she doesn't know. Like, y'all, I've been in public places and men will get mad at me because I don't want to give out my number, or, "Oh, you think you are," all that type of stuff. Do you think I'm arguing with a man off the street when I don't know how he's going to react? There's women out here getting shot over dumb stuff, okay, and killed. We don't know how he's going to react. So it's not up to me or even up to Kenya to manage how a Black man is being portrayed on TV. If she felt intimidated, she just felt intimidated. And if you know that's a stereotype for Black men, then your man should have shut the fuck up and ate his food. He should have just sat there and ate his food, and then that wouldn't have been nothing for him to worry about. So I think that's a lesson for you to take home to Ross, and less about what Kenya should have done to protect your husband's good name. So let's move on from that, y'all. We'll move on from that. Y'all know she be irritating me. Yes, exactly. So now, y'all, yep, Nikki, this comment. Nikki says, "Did y'all peep how Drew kept quiet when Sonya was talking mess about Kenya? She was not going to be dragged into that mess." And I loved every bit of it. I loved every bit of it because Drew, you know, Sonya treated you like trash, and now Sonya coming back around for what? Because she couldn't get in with Candy and Kenya with her lame ass. Okay, so now, y'all, we see this She by Sheree thing, And they are rehearsing. Well, I won't even say rehearsing. They're doing a casting call for models. So we see Sheree, her assistant, Rawan, and then we see Kenya. Shout out to Rawan. She was giving. Sheree's outfit looked a damn mess. Absolute mess. She had on this long sleeve leopard top. I don't give a damn if it was designer because I think it was, with some tights, and it looked a mess. Looked straight out of WWE. Hated it. So Kenya, she says that she walks in and she's like, hey, girl, you should have told me to get you some people down here for this casting call. She said it's like 10 people outside. She said this line should have been out the door. Rawan says, well, you know, we wanted to keep it on the down low for respect for Sheree. And I believe Rawan. Sheree, you know what you're going to be putting on is going to be she by nothing. And you probably didn't want to make a big deal about it because you wanted to keep it small just in case you failed. That's a sad situation. That's sad, y'all. Sheree wanted to keep it small just in case she failed. So I do believe Rawan. They showed the clip that like, oh, okay, you claim you want to keep it small, but you posted it on Instagram. I don't know. Number one, I don't know whose Instagram that was. Number two, they never said it was She by Sheree in the Instagram post. They said it for a fashion show for a Bravo housewife, but they didn't say who. So I'm like, okay. So one of the other things that pops up is Kenya's like, hey, we're sitting the wrong way. Like, we need to be sitting like a runway so we can see the walk. And Rawan's like, no, this is how I do my show. Well, Rawan, you're doing it wrong. Okay, I was here for Kenya and I was here for Rawan too. I was here for Kenya because it's like, if you're going to do this, Sheree, make sure that the people you paying is doing it right. Kenya was taking it seriously. So Kenya is talking about how where's all the models, all this other stuff. And Rawan says, well, you have to have a budget for real models. And Sheree is immediately embarrassed. Sheree's immediately embarrassed. She says, okay, Rawan, so how much for the models? And she says, you can get models anywhere from $250 to $500 a day. And Sheree says, oh, well, it's too late. Too late? Too late? Sheree, what are you talking about? It's too late to get models when this whole fashion show is being planned in 2 damn days. Girl, just say you ain't got the coin. So Kenya was like, what are you talking about? And she says, well, I already spent $1 million on this fashion show. You know you bought that ish off AliExpress. You bought the fucking legging samples and sports bra samples off AliExpress and Amazon. Okay? I'm not saying this to be factual. But more than likely, that's what the hell you did because you didn't have nothing designed and sent for no fashion show in a 2-week turnaround. Sheree didn't have real models because she doesn't really want to put it out. Right? The lies. She about don't have no money. So all the models are 5'6". They joke about, you know, body oil, crotch, all this other stuff, like unprofessional stuff. And you could tell Rawan was immediately annoyed. And Rawan says to Kenya, well, this isn't my first rodeo. And Kenya says, well, it looks like your first rodeo. And she says, well, I'm really happy we did it this way. Rawan says, I'm glad you're happy. And Kenya says, yeah, I am. Rawan says, confetti. I was like, girl, that was too funny. This scene did expose Sheree. Let me show y'all a tweet that I saw that I thought was too damn funny. So let me hide my picture. I'm about to show y'all this tweet because I was like, oh my gosh, that is so true. Let's get to it. Let me share screen. And the tweet was about Sheree. Okay, so it says, how Sheree went from this to begging not to pay $700 on national TV is beyond me. What happened to luxury, wealth, Atlanta's elite? And I'm about to play this for y'all right now.
For the Rolls-Royce luxury lounge this evening, they're expecting you, Sheree. They really want you to come out.
Everybody wants me to come out. My lifestyle is demanding. I consider myself amongst Atlanta's wealthy elite.
For the Rolls-Royce luxury.
My lifestyle is demanding. I consider myself to be amongst Atlanta's wealthy elite. Sheree, what happened? Y'all, I literally forgot. Because whenever this show first started, I don't even remember how old I was. But I remember initially thinking that Sheree was my favorite. Keyword. Because I thought Sheree was pretty. I thought Sheree gave glam. I thought she gave wealth. I loved Sheree at the beginning. How you go from that to you running from a bill? You don't want to split no invoice with Drew. I don't get it. And yes, I heard her and Drew were going at it last night on Twitter, and I have those tweets if y'all want to talk about it. So, y'all, we're going to move on from that to let's move on to Ralph's photo shoot. So, Ralph has the photo shoot for his book. And, we find out that Drew is planning his birthday party for Kenya and Marlo. So, she asked Sheree to be her co-host, and she agreed to do it. So Ralph, back to the photo shoot, he says that he wants to talk to Josiah first before he decides to adopt him. That was the first thing that he told Drew's mom, his mother-in-law. And I was kind of like, but wait, is it that you want to talk to Josiah, or is it that Ricky told you not to adopt him? Because this whole time you've been leading with the fact that Ricky didn't want you to adopt him. Now you're deciding to lead without talk to Josiah. So he goes from that to saying, and also, I talked to Ricky on the phone, and Ricky says that it hurts him because he wants an opportunity to be a father. So I allowed Ricky to come to one of his basketball practices. Now, y'all, I could see that happening, okay? I could see that happening, but I think Ralph's full of it. Absolutely. So Drew's mom says that Ralph is not making the right decision. And he says, but I've already stepped up for him. I'm already there for him all the time. So what's a piece of paper going to do? And Drew ends up saying, well, if you have that type of logic, what did we get married for? What's a piece of paper? And it was in this scene that it confirmed for me that he doesn't want to get the adoption process solidified or the adoption completed. Because if they divorce one day, he's going to have to be responsible for Josiah. That's plain and simple what it is, in my opinion. Because now he's like, oh, well, I'll wait for Josiah to tell me he wants me to adopt him. What? What is going on, Ralph? I guess her mama don't trust what you're saying either. So Marlo ends up getting the boys back. Really don't have shit to say about it. It was just another scene for us to believe that Marlo is a better person than what she's led us to believe she is on this season. So now, y'all, it's time for the birthday party. And Drew was wearing a damn birthday dress. She was wearing like a sparkly silver dress. And I was like, why is she wearing that dress? I mean, it was already enough that she was wearing that silver sequin dress with the gold hardware necklace. I was like, no, this ain't it. So Drew says that she needs Sheree to step up as the co-host. Sheree ends up showing up, and she sees the whole party, and it looks much better than the party that Sheree threw. You got a whole menu, you got a chef, you got drinks made. It looked good. She had an actual DJ set up in the house. It looked good. Sheree walks in and she's like, this is a bit much. And she says that she's not paying for other bitches' bright ideas. Now, y'all, for a second, I was like, you know what? Sheree, I'm not mad at you. Now wait, because I know you like to tussle. Just wait. For a second, I was like, Sheree, I see where you're coming from. Because I would not want somebody to come up with some big ass elaborate plan that costs money and then be like, yeah, what do you think? And then whenever you say, oh yeah, it's cool, expect you to cough up 50% of the cost. And it's like, well, bitch, I didn't contribute nothing to this. On one hand, she was right. But on the other hand, she don't got no money, don't like to pay people. We know she don't like to pay the assistants. And luckily, Drew ended up saying in a scene that she agreed to pay for half. So if it wasn't for the conversation she had with Drew prior to the party, I definitely would have sided with Sheree, but because you decided to plan this shit and co-host, you should take 50% of the cost. So it's like, if you didn't have any input on how it looked, that's because you didn't want to have any input on how it looked, because you didn't want to have any input on your pockets, more than likely. Let me see. Nikki, she says, but these ladies have thrown several parties or lunches for her embarrassed ass. Okay. Yeah, right. Yes, Prosperity. She says, remember I said on your call, yeah, in the call-in show at the beginning of the season, Ralph is walking away from it with only the 2 kids he helped to create. I get what you're saying, right? That's exactly what I was thinking. Okay, so anyway, Sheree being cheap, I think she did ass wrong, and I do believe she don't want to pay nobody, and they do get into it on Twitter. We're going to talk about it. So Sheree gets a phone call, and the pieces look a hot mess. The samples look a hot mess. Of course they do. When you order the samples off AliExpress, they don't look nothing like the pictures. What you expect, girl? So Candy ends up showing up, and they're asking her, how is it going? And she says, it's not going good, but everything's going to be good. I haven't received the samples yet. They said, where are the samples? They're in Alaska. Alaska? Girl, I have done plenty of shopping. I have bought plenty of clothes. And I ain't seen no tag of mine, no piece of clothing say made in Alaska. So you tell me, Sheree, what the hell your custom pieces are doing in Alaska? What are they doing in Alaska? You might as well say them bitches at the North Pole. You might as well say you got the elves sewing your shit together. Because I was like, what are you talking about? Okay, you waiting on Mr. and Mrs. Claus to put their stamp on the inside label. Because Alaska, girl, you full of it. So we get back to the birthday party. And Kenya and Marlo arrive at the same time. And Kenya does not leave the door open for Marlo, which I thought was funny AF. They get the surprise that the party was actually for them. So we see Marlo's best friends and we see Kenya's cousin there. And y'all, another scene to try to make Marlo look like a better person. Marlo's cousin her best friend stands up. And, she wants to talk about Marlo. She says that Marlo's a good person. Ever since my mom passed, Marlo has been there for me. And I always tell her, don't you be arguing with Kenya. She should have said they were in Wakanda. She should have, right? So I'm like, girl, you done brought your best friend down here so people can believe that you really are a good person. And maybe you are, but that's not who I be seeing on this damn show when I watch 1 hour a week. So Drew says that this was her and Sheree's gift to them. And Kenya is kind of feeling like this is a birthday party or intervention. And I felt the same way because is it my birthday or are y'all trying to get me to be cool with a bitch I don't like? I don't want to sit here and have conversations with y'all about somebody I do not like, do not care for, like it's dead. Their relationship has been off more than it's ever been on. And that's not something I would want to talk about on my birthday. So Kenya, I ain't mad at it. So, Kenya's talking about why they really were never cool. And she talks about Marlo's comments of saying, your mama don't want you. And she says that this season it started because she called her a liar. And Marlo says, we both have said awful things about each other. And I was like, girl, bye, you a lie, right? Because y'all, Marlo always tries to make it even. Marlo will try to justify her tacky ass, nasty ass, below the belt ass, disgusting comments. She always does this, right? So I was like, when has Kenya said anything about you? And they showed 2 scenes where Kenya said, you're the only woman I know with a square reader between her legs. And when she said that, I was like, ooh, that was bad, but it wasn't that bad. Then she said something about get you a husband so you won't have to sleep with other people's. And I was like, oh, only reason why I didn't like that is because Kenya, you know what it feels like to be accused of sleeping with people's husbands because you were accused of that by Phaedra for seasons and seasons and seasons. So for you to turn around and say that to Marlo, I'd be like, ugh. But Marlo usually starts. I just cannot feel sympathy for Marlo in that way. Because Marlo has never made herself vulnerable or real like one time. So now they get into a game, a messy ass game at the birthday party. And the first question is, how would you react if a woman accused your husband of being aggressive? That's messy AF. Production wrote those cards. And Saya stands up yelling, oh, well, I'm going to say it right now. Bitch, you wish you had a man like that. And I loved how Kenya decided to pay her dust. I loved how Kenya decided not to even address Sanya because you didn't have that energy on the phone. And no, I don't wish I had a man like that. I literally told y'all I would hate for my man to intervene in a time like that. Stay out of women's business. But y'all, it's going to be addressed and it's going to be handled at the reunion. So the next question is, how would you feel if your friend agreed to host a party, accept half the bill, and then ditched? And they're like, oh, well, just call her out. They already knew it was Sheree. And Sheree says, well, I already spent all this money on the fashion show. And Kenya was like, yeah, you spent $1 million. Kenya was trolling because she did say she spent $1 million, but she knew it wasn't literal. So Sheree's like, speaking of, let me hand out these show invitations. When they put that invitation on the screen, I thought it was a damn, like, baby size clothing. I was like, what? But it was actually like doll clothing in a case, which was like kind of cute, but it also didn't have shit to do with her fashion line. Why are you handing out doll size clothing inside your invitation box with no dolls? I was like, what is going on, right? So Candy's like, she spent all this money on them invitations and all these dolls, but doll clothes, but no clothes. You ain't got no samples. I was like, oh my gosh. And you know, who was it? Marlo was like, I think you just want to have a party. It's just a party at this point. And everybody was clowning her. It was funny. It was funny. It was like, what are you doing? The dolls, they have nothing to do with nothing. And y'all want to know the first thought that came through my mind when I seen her pull out that damn acetate box with the doll invites in them? I was like, how much you want to bet? Those 5 invitations that she handed out like that was only handed out to them. Everybody else got a damn evite. Everybody else got a damn paperless post. Okay? Because if Sheree is on a budget, she's known to do the stunting for the show. Everybody else got an evite. 1 coin for 20 invitations. You're invited to She by Sheree's fashion preview. Okay? She did not spend all that money on nice invitations for everybody else. So what happened, Sheree? So next, y'all, the party is over and we see Sheree at a coffee shop where she is waiting for Apollo. I'm like, okay, Apollo. Phaedra already said on Watch What Happens Live that she felt no ways about it because, you know, if you want to go and get the bacon so you can bring the money home to the kids, you go ahead and do that. So as Apollo is pulling up, I'm like, what the fuck is this audio overlay? Editing was just so weird. He's like driving out the car and they're playing his audio in the background. Love is this. Love is when you do this. Love is when you do that. And I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? What does it have to do with anything? Y'all got much better audio on this man. When that man pulled up, y'all know we wanted to hear, get away from me with this, Apollo. Y'all know we wanted to hear something else. But okay. So she ends up asking Apollo to walk in the fashion show. And y'all, I low-key thought that Martell Holt was going to pop up and she was going to ask him to walk in the show, but it was Apollo. So she asked Apollo to walk in the fashion show. He agrees to it reluctantly. And Apollo still look good. He's aged a little. He still look good though. And, you know, he starts talking about Phaedra. He starts talking about how Phaedra left him for dead. Phaedra didn't come to no trial hearings, like literally nothing. And, you know, I feel no ways. I think we all knew that Phaedra was cold-blooded. The way that Phaedra lied on Candy and then sat at the reunion and literally looked into empty space, ignoring the questions that Andy was asking her, told me that this woman was a bit psychotic. The wigs that Phaedra is wearing tells me that this woman was a little bit psychotic. The filler and the highlighter, 10 shades too light, it's telling me that this woman's a little bit psychotic. So I was not surprised at all whenever he said that she was cold-hearted, and y'all shouldn't be either. So she ends up updating Apollo on Tyrone. You can call Tyrone. Blocked. Declined. Okay, she ends up talking about Tyrone. And, Apollo gives her encouraging words and just kind of talks about how he'll see men do that when they locked up. He'll have a different woman coming every week, all this, all that. Hey, Jay, this is the comment for me. She says, why would Apollo expect Phaedra to see about him when he had a whole girlfriend before he went in? Facts. Y'all, I think both of these people are scammers. You're not going to tell me your husband who worked a job but didn't really work a job where nobody really knew what he was doing, was bringing home money. You working legitimate jobs, didn't know where this money was coming from, and you didn't say nothing? Yeah, I don't know. This the comment. Donna says the fact that she was involved in his schemes, allegedly, gives me left him for dead. That's the comment. This is it. That's why, okay, even though Apollo was cheating, I get why he feels that way. Because she was only worried about her good name. She knew what he was doing, y'all. He'll just never say that. He will never say that. Iverson says, because Phaedra was a mastermind. Right. Hey, Jay says, I think Phaedra was trying to give Apollo an opportunity to be legit, and he chose not to. So whatever happened to him was on him. That might be accurate. Summer says, Phaedra is scammer adjacent. Yeah, that might be accurate. Okay, so y'all, that's pretty much the end of the episode. But I did tell y'all I had those tweets pulled up that I wanted to go over with y'all. I said go over. Get the fuck out of here, y'all. I can't. I hate that fucking work jargon that be stuck in my head all the time. Okay, so let's get to these tweets. I'm about to go ahead and share screen, and we can talk about Sheree getting ate up yet again. Sheree is just so... You don't be giving, Sheree. At all. You don't be giving at all. You get ate up every season. How did you get ate up by Drew on Twitter? Drew? Because some of Drew's stuff don't be landing. But okay. So Drew tweets and she says, the moment I realized I wasn't getting my money. Sheree says, girl, stop. You were paid $1,000 to do the small get together, and anything over is on you. Hashtag I'm not buying friendships. Hashtag Real Housewives of Atlanta. Drew says, so you wanted a cheap party like your cheap joggers, girl, bye. Sheree says, just like them cheap ass wigs you were wearing last season. Hashtag respect the OG. Y'all, Sheree's an OG, but she's a fucking boomerang housewife. I'm sorry. You're a boomerang housewife. I'm so sorry. How many times, like, it's just embarrassing. You know how your mamas be saying, don't ever let a man tell you he don't want you more than once. Sheree let this show tell her that they didn't want her 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So I don't know why it's a flex for you to say hashtag respect the OG. You let them drag you in and out as they please for a check. So Drew says, nothing cheap about Go Naked hair. Now you're just a cheap ass hater. I won't hold you, Drew. You left the apostrophe RE off of that your, but I get it. When you're in the heated argument, Twitter fingers. So this is it right here. Drew says, I'm gonna just sit this right here. Y'all, I have talked about Sheree's wigs, and the sad thing is the picture in the top left is from this season, 2022. Girl, what the fuck are you on? Goodbye. You can tell your assistants don't like you and they not getting paid. So Sheree says bad hair days and bad wigs are two totally different things. I don't wear cheap wigs. Well, that's just dumb. That's just dumb to buy some expensive hair and cut that shit up the way you did. Let's take another look. That's just dumb. So now Drew says nothing cheap about Go Naked. Oh, that's the same one, right? Sheree responds and says, girl, you know that hair from last season was not Go Naked. Ditzy ass can't remember them horrible wigs that she had on. Now you both are prone to some bad wigs, but that's all right. But this was it for me. Whenever Drew said, how you know you wasn't even there? You're a fan is what it's giving. Sheree says, girl, the world knows. When I came back, I didn't know who you were, but I was told that you had cheap wigs, bad makeup, and wore fake clothes. I'm glad you're able to rent real designer pieces now. Y'all, let's keep it 100,000. Sheree rents designer pieces, in my opinion, allegedly, if I had to guess. Sheree rents designer pieces. Why y'all think it took her 20 years to get that damn house? The house in your mama name. And I also think that Tyrone probably helped you get the house, which is why it was sitting as, you know, sticks and stones for so long. But okay. And that's probably also why you let the show take you back and send you on your way so many damn times for a check. So you probably are renting designer pieces, because this is not giving the girl that we met in season 1. So Drew says, happy the world is seeing my glow up, but don't forget, I'm not the cheap one here. Thank you, darling. Sheree says, I'm so glad the world can give you attention since you aren't receiving it at home. This is whenever Sheree should have logged off, because you always know that you're losing an argument when the argument starts to be about fashions, and then you start talking about husbands. Wrong road. Drew says, that's not one of my issues, but at least I have a husband. Sheree says, yeah, you do. One that humiliates you, degrades you, makes you look stupid, makes you look weak, and disappears on you. Hashtag I'll pass. Drew then says, you have been really invested into my husband all season, but you need to be worried about your new storyline. Hashtag fake Martell Holt. Whoop. Drew could have took 2 different directions, y'all. She could have brought up Tyrone and getting stood up, or talking about Martell. Either way, this argument is Drew for me. Sheree then quotes one of her fans. The fan said, Drew better be blessed that Sheree built the show that you've been on for 2 years. Don't bite the hand that fed you. Sheree is an OG and you're just another blip in Housewives. Sheree then quotes us and she says, you'll never win against an OG. We created the table her and her family are eating off of. Now, Sheree, you wanted to tussle, didn't you? You wanted to tussle, didn't you? Don't make this about OG and how you're feeding her. You wanted to tussle. So don't try to make this like a morality thing, like she can't argue with you because she came before you. Goodbye, okay? Kept saying she was an OG. She don't pay. Oh my gosh. Yup. Oop. She knew who Drew was. Right, she watched the show. She ain't created it yet. Renting her wardrobe. Yup. Yes, Kenya. Bravo has Sheree packing and unpacking every other season. Right. You want to talk about husbands? Girl, you ain't got nothing else to talk about. In prosperity, this is the comment from me. Nene built that table, not Sheree. Yup, Tyrone left her in Philly in the cold. Drew could have just said, you better call Tyrone. And I would have laughed my ass off. But y'all, that's all I have for Real Housewives of Atlanta and Married to Medicine. I hope y'all enjoyed this review. Y'all be sure to turn on your notifications. Be sure to like the video, comment, subscribe, and then I'll see y'all later on this week. I'll see if Bell Collective was really giving. If so, we'll do Ready to Love and Bell Collective and talk about that. If not, I'll see y'all Thursday for us to review Married at First Sight, okay? So I hope y'all have a good rest of the week, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.